Expand your client base using AI. Zuri.k matches service providers by showcasing their services to potential clients online. It's free.
Welcome to the Bold Analysis. I want to ask a question. Are you a hustler, or who is hustler? Who is a hustler? If you can define hustler, and who is really the person that William-Ruto was talking about at the campaign trail? What am I talking about? There are two latest developments that I have witnessed, and I want us to look at them. When William-Ruto whipped the KCB, Safaricom, and other banks associated with Fuliza to make sure that Fuliza is reduced, interest rates is truncated by 50%, reduced by 50%. That was aimed as a solution of increasing access to financing and easing the burden, the loan burden on the same hustler. Today, William-Ruto became the second president to attend, or rather to meet, the Nairobi Stock Exchange and the capital markets to talk about how they can include, or how hustlers, and he referred to them as Mama Mboga and Boda Boda guy, can also save with Nairobi Stock Exchange, or rather can also invest with the Nairobi Stock Exchange. And I followed that meeting keenly to see who exactly was there. And somewhere in the middle, I was left wondering who exactly is that conversation targeting. It was a high-end office with everyone in suit and all talking about the money markets. And by the way, money markets is a very lucrative industry. If you really understand how it works, we will one day get someone who understands to just open our minds on what exactly that is, that market can be exploited. And so I was left wondering, who is hustler? In this video, I will explain to you that one of the reasons why William-Ruto's government is unpopular nearly 30 days after its inception is the word hustler. Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell, and like our video. And I want to remind us about the challenge on purchase for camera. I have collected 34,700 so far. I was targeting 80,000, which we are going to just doing the fundraiser for 10 days, so it will end on 22nd this month, when we shall go and buy a camera just to expand and help me do exclusive interviews. So my number is there, 0710 62 78 89, Kevin Oduor. And by the way, I have my voice is a bit cracked because kama niko na homa, so also bear with me that. Sorry. Now, the question of hustler came out. And one of the reasons why I want to say that it is time for Ruto to drop the word hustler. True to that word, make your observation. You will realize that Ruto has dropped the word hustler. The people that were at the campaign trail that really spoke passionately about the hustler tag have dropped the word, and they're trying to embrace the word Hello Kenyans. But then, one of the reasons why Ruto is facing unpopularity, hostility, and harsh reception of the government, I did a Twitter poll. I did a poll in this channel, just asking people 3 questions. Do you think this country is going in the right direction? And one option was yes, no, let's give them time. If you check that YouTube, if you check that poll, you'll understand what I'm talking about. that, and I've seen a couple of other people even doing it in Twitter. And what is coming out from that bit of that survey is that people are not comfortable with how things are going out. The problem is what I want us to look at here. And the problem is the word hustler. Now, you know, at campaign trail, I insisted that the word hustler was never meant to explain that we want to sort out the person at the lower part of the pyramid. Sorting the person at the lower part of the pyramid was just communication messaging, political messaging, to make sure that you appease to the emotions of people. It's called emotional appeal, and really sound that you mean well for it. But days into the office, Ruto have been forced to drop the hustler at the gate of State House because that hustler person cannot be defined, and he's not defined. Let's set a good example. And my good lecturer, Mr. Oshika, was asking me a question. A very seasoned lecturer asked me a question. So there is Mama Mboga and Boda Boda. Then there are two people. There is Mama Mboga mwenye anakata mboga, people who are within town. There is the urban hustler and the rural hustler. That's first level. And these two people are different. Like now I was home and I was asking the Boda Boda guys who have been roaming with me around, are you a hustler? By the way, when you hustler? And they're like, mi si hustler. You know. Then yule mama mboga mwenye nakata mboga, tao, hapo Kibera. And the person who anabeba skuma, he has like 4 lorries, he or she is ferrying the skuma wiki or those vegetables from other places, even as crossing from Tanzania to Kenya, and selling them in Nairobi's Mudhurwa market. Is that woman a hustler? It's a very important question, by the way. Is that woman a hustler? Between that woman or that man and the person mwenye anauza skuma pale, or this, someone who owns the motorbike na anapewa 300 jioni, and the person who rides the motorbike, who is the hustler? Who is the hustler? So if you come with an intervention on boda boda, who is going to benefit? Is it the person riding or the person mwenye anaendesha boda boda? Now, I just opening the kind of business models that we're talking about. So we've spoken about business people, and one thing I can say is this: what has become difficult to define is because I think the framers of the hustler narrative, they never differentiated between hustler, the business person, and hustler, a universal, any Kenyan who is struggling. It's important. But then you can also challenge my thought on this. And my good lecturer was talking about this. Now, why they have to drop it is this: because it has become difficult to define who is that hustler, their issues are not on table. This is the truth. When you talk about Nairobi Stock Exchange, honestly, I want to ask someone who, if hustler was yule mtu anateseka, that mama mboga who is selling mboga, anakata mboga in the streets and all that, she's making barely a profit of, let's say, 600 in a day, a house rent of about that is structure paying around 30,000 or 25. Then the rest goes to buying food for the family and all that. And she does that. Does she have information about Nairobi Stock Exchange? Does the fact that the interest rate at Fuliza has been reduced motivate him or her to acquire Fuliza loan so that he can increase the stock? Does it get to that? And number two, he's selling to a household economy. Anauza pale kwa mtaa. Do you think that person can increase that stock? Still he or she stays in Mathare or Kibera or Kabiria. somewhere in the slum, can she really be motivated to go for the extra loan? Those are the important questions that people are asking. So it has become very difficult to define that hustler, and that's why the issues are not on the table. The people that Revealed-Ruto is encouraging to save and to save more is not the hustler. He's actually reaching out to the middle class. That's the truth. He's reaching out to the teacher. He's a teacher who can use his security to acquire a bigger loan and invest and increase his savings. He's actually talking to an Uber driver who can use his car to acquire a loan as a collateral because the interest rate is down to do more. He is talking to a wholesaler of Mama Mboga. That's the truth. Now, that's what my good lecturer was talking about. So, if you look at the hustler, it's not framed and the issues are not on the table. The issues that are on table, the good idea on saving is actually targeting the middle class. Kama hustler ni mtu anateseka, the people who were framed as wamejazwa na shele and all that, actually that population is really the middle class. If you talk about Nairobi Stock Exchange, the mama blogger that he's talking about can do, but does he have the information? Does he understand that model? Does he understand the business potential in Nairobi Stock Exchange? That's it. And the other point that has come out, why my good lecturer also insisted that the hustler thing must be dropped, is because when it comes to leadership, it's about, there is a difference between politics and politics. The hustler narrative, the hustler person was politics. But when it comes to politics, there is a different thing. And then to the next level, there is what is called governance. And in governance, you need competence. What am I talking about? The hustler that was defined is not in the decision-making table. There is no hustler who is in a cabinet. There is no hustler who is a permanent secretary. And someone was making a very interesting development that at the campaign trail, William-Ruto said, tunaenda kuunda hii serikali na nyinyi na hii serikali ni yetu. The people that he was speaking to in the campaign rallies in the middle of Kakamega town or in the outskirts of Nairobi or in the church service in Nyeri, none of those people is in the cabinet. What are we talking about? Even the hustlers are really now understanding that we are not in the same class with William-Ruto. We are not in the decision-making table. That's the truth. The leaders are not hustlers. There is no MP who is a hustler. There is no cabinet member who is a hustler. And so because hustlers are not on table, drop it because they feel sidelined. Unless you want to continue with it, that's going to be what will make the government unpopular. Because when you come to rallies, you're talking about nyinyi hustlers, but behind the boardrooms, they are not there. They were not in the Nairobi Stock Exchange market meeting. That's what I'm talking about. And lastly, it's not patriotic. It's sympathetic. It's like you are sympathizing with me to create someone, to create that culture. It creates a culture of poverty. Yes, who wants to be that hustling person? Yule mtu anaonekana tu ana mama mboga, mtu boda boda, mtu kushona viatu. You know, and I'm not saying those businesses are not lucrative. And if really we were talking about hustler, it creates a culture of hopelessness and poverty, because what the hustler must be told is an element of expansion. If William-Ruto was talking about the young hustler, the rural hustler, what the rural hustler needs is an element of expansion, is an element of growth, creating that environment. Ladies and gentlemen, that's my bold on why Ruto's government is unpopular, and that is what has been creating that is what has been creating the unpopularity of the government. And my good lecturer was talking about, just follow up on my analysis that I mentioned why the government is unpopular. And that's why Didmas Baraza wanted to give people, his constituents, 1 million. That's my bold.